Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is another one of my Living Consciously videos. I have had the privilege of being a part of my daughter's wedding in August, going on vacation to our cottage in Pennsylvania. She had a destiny wedding also in Pennsylvania. Then hosting my grandson for a week, then having a 6 days with my sister in Michigan, my youngest sister. So it's just been a glorious time, and I am very, very privileged that I now can get back to more of my normal routine and get back to my Living Consciously videos that I have had once a week up until now. I've done it for about 3 times. I'm sorry, not quite 3 years. I think maybe more than 3 years, actually. So really am having a very good time by doing these. And the blessed thing is that it is September, but this is now going to be cooler weather, but it still is beautiful enough to stay here and to be outside. And we have this glorious porch, and you can see the trees behind us. And the green man is at the top, and a plaque of angels singing is below him. And I don't know if there's anything above the green man. There's another plaque, probably of angels. That seems to be my favorite theme to follow. But anyway, let's begin. Today we're going to cover more crystals. Crystals that I have had personal experience with, crystals that I particularly love. And there's one, I'm going to start with this because this is a very little known fact with crystals. There are three elements that turn from one thing to another. Copper turns into malachite, turns into emerald. And over the millennia, over 100 million years, one element becomes the other. Copper, malachite, emerald. And my emerald ring dislocated itself from the setting. I hadn't had it tightened in, God knows, the 15 or 20 years that I was wearing it. And a thought went through my head about a week before this happened. All of a sudden, I pulled my hand out of my garden glove. I had a long garden glove on, pure cotton. Pulled my hand out and looked at the ring and saw that the emerald was missing. And of course, I had been gardening. So how in the world do you find an emerald out in a garden? And I mean, even though it was more than a carat, it was like almost a carat and a half. Still, it's a tiny little piece of glass that of mineral that will just blend in with where it was lost. And so anyway, the long and short of it is, and my husband found it, as my husband looked at the garden glove, and for some reason or other, and I feel this was guided by the angels, I'm absolutely convinced of it, ran his hand down the garden glove and felt something hard in one of the fingers. So very carefully made sure that it came out, there was the emerald. So obviously, as I had pulled my hand out of the garden glove, there the emerald dislocated from its setting. So the reason that I really want to share this with you is because of the fact that many of you are wearing diamonds or maybe precious stones or semi precious stones that you've never thought of tightening. And absolutely do take care of that. Um, I think I had this emerald up to 20 years, and it never dawned on me to get it done. This happened just prior to COVID. And as a result, I took it to one place, and they said that they were afraid that the emerald would shatter while they tried to put it back. And so, fortunately, my daughter had the same thing happen, but instead of in her emerald, we're born 2 years, 2 days apart, and the uh, when I gave her the ring, it was originally intended for her 21st birthday. I think she was 27, 28, or 29 when I finally gave her the ring. And I gave her the ring when I bought this one for myself. Um, she what dislocated for her was one of the diamonds. She had the a similar type of setting. She had an oval emerald with two baguettes on the side that were diamonds, and but her loss was not recovered. She thought she may have lost it down a drain, but she was never able to recover it. So anyway, but the that was so tragic. Uh, it did cost her $800 to get it fixed, but she did get the ring fixed. And now that she has uh, a wedding band and a wedding ring on one hand, she still will have the emerald as a commemoration of her birth and the fact that she's a Taurus and that her emerald is her birthstone for May, as it is for me. Like I said, we're just born 2 days apart in terms of numerically. But the properties of copper are that copper is a conduit between heaven and earth. It's a conduit that it's a conductor of energy, and it supports the production of red blood cells and the body um, repairing itself. So this is a very special bracelet. I mean, it's a very special mineral. Also, copper is being shown in many bracelets recently. Um, Malachite, the this beautiful stone. Its features are the enlightened leadership, creativity, confidence, protection from negativity, and most importantly, working with your heart energies. So that's the properties of malachite. And emerald, my birthstone and my daughter's birthstone, is all about unconditional love, compassion, hope, encouragement, gentleness, abundance, prosperity, path with heart, and it's been said to have been a holy grail stone. So those Knights of the Templar that sought the Holy Grail also knew, and the Holy Grail, to the best of my understanding, is a chalice, the chalice that Christ used at the Last Supper, was called the Holy Grail. And there have been many, many books written about the pursuit of that. And I think it's called Rensselaer, the castle, and or convent or church or cathedral in Scotland. There is supposedly the plunder from the Knights of the Templar that is buried underneath the floorboards. The only thing is that they've never been able to access it, and no one has ever taken apart the floor because it is made out of stone. And I really shouldn't say boards, but I should say flooring of this place, because they they felt that when they tap the stones, and they tap one stone, there is a totally different hollow sound than when they tap the other stones around it. So they feel something is down there. They've just never been able to bring it to the surface. Um, and so that's another huge mystery. And I'm not 100% certain I have the name of this correct. I'm going to have to let you know next week if I've said the name incorrectly, because it's been a long time since I've been there. And I know that when I was there, the fascinating thing about the pillars in the cathedral was that there was foliage found in the pillars that was only known to have existed in the New World. Like corn was one of them, maize, except it was called maize at that time, and it only came from the New World. And yet, this chapel was built 400 years prior to the discovery of the New World. This chapel was built around 1100. And it just, again, fascinating history with this. I want to move on to a very exciting stone that is the only crystal that I wear. And this is called Moldavite. Those of you who are familiar with the properties of Moldavite know that it is a crystal that is extraterrestrial. It was known as it is suspected to be a property of a molten asteroid. And it has very glass-like features, extremely interesting feel to it, and extremely interesting look to it, because it's translucent. You can actually see through it, as you can see as I'm holding it up to the screen. Also, one of the things that is so intriguing about it is that the smallest piece can be equal in weight to the biggest piece. This is the smallest piece I own. This is the biggest piece. And yet, when I put each one in my hand, they feel the same. There is no difference in intensity. There's no difference in vibration. And there's just no difference in the power of this stone. This is a stone of transformation. This is the stone that is going to give you your lessons. And people have told me, because they get very excited when they hear about this stone, and they say, "Oh, I want to get it. I want to get it. I want to get that." And then they'll come back and tell me, "I had to take it off. I was getting sick from wearing it." They weren't ready. Their vibrational um, just sense of themselves apparently wasn't quite ready for what the stone had to offer. I do know the stone will bring you your lessons. If you have something you've been avoiding, if you have something you haven't wanted to look at, if you have something that you feel is going to bring you more pain, if you examine it, this will bring it into your face. You put this on, that's exactly what happened to me. I had an issue that I was not willing to face for 25 years. And and I just kept avoiding it, kept avoiding it, kept avoiding it. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't. I After I had put on this stone, but I had promised myself that no matter what happened, I was going to deal with it. And so right now, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, all healing is self-healing. And all of us that are out there that are interested in healing those parts of ourself that are just not working to our benefit, not working in a manner that is like beneficial to us, but also is continuing to hurt us because of the fact that we don't want to look at it. And it could be issues, it could be situations where we've had family issues, where there was somebody that hurt us badly. And so then the easiest way you felt that you could deal with it is just to back off, back away, and um, not address it, and basically ghost the people. This is no longer an acceptable method of dealing with your problems. We really do have to face them, because essentially, if you don't face them in this lifetime, you get to choose to face them in the other lifetime. And always, any one of you who have been following my videos will know it's always a choice. You choose yourself what lesson it is that you want in any given lifetime. You can choose a negative role, you can choose a positive role. You can choose a resting life, you can choose a life that's filled with lessons. Every fourth or fifth lifetime, you get to choose a resting life in order not to get discouraged from coming back to planet Earth, because it's a difficult planet. It has a lot of angst in this planet. We're very dense, and our thinking is very dense. So therefore, we really have to, those souls that desperately want to come here, sometimes basically change their mind, even in the birth canal, even as when they're in spirit, even after they've been incarnated and come to the planet. That's the whole problem with SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. The soul changes its mind and decides, nope, not going to be here, not interested, too hard, whatever, you know. So effectively, and it could be that your life here, some recently, I've had some really, really, really sad and difficult lives to help sort out, and lives that are filled with depression, filled with anxiety, filled with physical symptoms. And there's some really severe problems that have to be dealt with now on planet Earth. And I know that no matter what, I trust my guides to give the people the information they need to hear. Whether they accept it is up to them. That's free will, that's their choice. They do not have to accept anything anybody else wants to say. If you've been in depression for 40 years and you want to march to your death as a depressed person, that's fine. If you've been in depression for 70 years and you want to march to your death, that's your choice. That is free will. You do not have to learn anything new. You do not have to accept anything. You make the choice as to how far you will go with anything. So, and in your learning. And like I said, every fourth or fifth lifetime, you get to choose a resting life. Nothing goes wrong. Everything goes right for you. So anyway, let's see what else is next. This stone is amazing. I hope I can bring it up where you can, and I think you can see the light coming through this stone. And if you look at it, it's solid. But yet you bring it up close to the screen, you bring it up close to a light, and you can see through it. This is called Merlinite. And those of you who have watched the series, I think it was 5 seasons, I'm not sure, could have been less. Merlin, this is the stone named after Merlin. If you take a look at it, and I've meditated with this stone, just kind of like holding it up to the light, you can get lost in whatever the little black specks are, because they look like ferns and they're absolutely gorgeous. And they have and the light that comes through there seems to open up scenes in your mind's eye about stories, and generally stories about fairies and elves, elfins, and stories about the earth. So it's just a sliver. It's not thick, but it's a stone of magic. And like I said, I have loved um, working with this stone and loved being just meditating with it and seeing what comes forward for me. And we're going on 23 minutes. I promised myself I'd limit this to 15. I'm never able to do it. So I'm going to leave now, and I will continue with the crystals for next week, because I have many more crystals that I have had personal experiences with, and many more stories to tell. So I will continue, and I thank you all for watching. I thank you for being here. I welcome you to my weekly series called Living Consciously, 1 o'clock every Friday. And if you need a meditation book, Own Your Power Day by Day is one of the best out there. Written with the help of spirit, my spirit guides, written with the help of God. And so we will see you next week, Friday. Thank you. Welcome. I'm Al.